So, Mark, I do want to try to stay away from politics. We're going to have a ramble that is technically about politics. It's about Putin and how he kind of shapes the world and thoughts and opinions on the things he does and all the different messages he sends. But like you found this.
I gotta give credit to Facebook because it was trending, and I'm like, oh look, something useful popped up out of Facebook, and it's a pretty good rant that I found.
I have a feeling Facebook and a lot of these social media news sources are going to really start bringing the hammer down on being more responsible about what's actual news.
I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday from editors of The Verge talking about basically Facebook turning into a a media corporation and trying to weed out like all the bullshit articles that were floating around during the election cycle.
Basically, I think what a lot of this could come down to is Facebook could still be a source where you share anything, but there is a filter where if you click news within 24 hours or maybe less, maybe 2 hours or something, your article will be checked off as being news, or it won't be news and you won't be allowed to use that tag. And I think that would be the proper way to go to handle shit like this. So again, welcome back to Great Scott Marcus. This is episode, what, 23? Or are we on 24? Here, I'll bring up the dashboard.
23 sounds about right.
No, we're actually on 24.
My God, 12 times 2.
I'm Scott, and that one's Mark, here on Ramble Entertainment. This is a show where Mark and I get together and we talk about anything, and then for some stupid reason, we post it to the internet. I don't know. Mark, I'm not even going to ask how you're doing. I'm just going to tell you how I'm doing because I'm being selfish today.
Or you know how I'm doing.
I
so that's
don't
why.
fucking understand YouTube. I'm in a lot of pain, and I just want to go home. Ah, fuck, I am home. Like, all week I've been posting videos. I've been really excited to post videos to our channel, and I'm shocked at like that they're underperforming. Basically, we had like roughly hundreds of views coming off of the War Within playthrough, and then it seemed like more people were just into the armory videos where I was talking about weapons and builds. My headset looks crooked on top of my head. Anyway, it's probably something to do with the hat. I'm wearing a hat because my hair is a wreck. I had 5 hours of sleep. My
hair is leaving much to be desired as well. So
I was working on a video all night where like I just could not balance the audio properly or to my liking, and I posted a video before that where I was just like, this is kind of half-assed. That video, compared to the better videos throughout the week, gets like 50 views in the first like 10 minutes of it being posted. Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't get YouTube. I'm trying to get it. I really am, but I don't fucking get it.
I mean, maybe they're about just specific content and not quality of said content. Well, not quality
I mean,
content, quality of the polished turd.
Amidst of a sea of other things that it could be, yeah, that's definitely one of them. Like, I'm sure there's also drop off. The War Within came out and people played it, and then they went to play other things, so there's drop off from that. And there's a slew of different reasons that I'll adapt to as I continue to grow. But yeah, it's just kind of like I don't get it. I seriously don't get it.
Just grind away and post one, post another, and just let it be.
I went to
thinking it too much.
I went to work out for the first time in like a pair of months, and my leg is now fucking killing me. And my doctor was like, "That was stupid. You're dumb." And yeah, he just he kind of looked at me and just shook his head, and he was like, "Don't do that again until your treatment's over." And so yeah, I'm.
Were you doing like you weren't doing like leg presses, were you, or squats?
No, I got on. I went pretty light. I got on the elliptical for 15, and then I did some abdominals to help start trying to control my mass. Because
good word there.
If I keep growing, I'm going to turn into a black hole, and that's not good for planet Earth. Elon Musk won't be happy. I'm not drinking. This is juice.
It actually kind of looked like scotch. So
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like a bitch with my little orange glass.
I mean, that could have something in it, vodka or something.
I don't really have any plain vodka to put in there, so no, just regular juice for me today.
How are you doing? You were at a wedding for like 12 fucking days.
Yeah, it was interesting. I've never gone to any non-traditional Western weddings. I mean, I've been to Catholic weddings and non-Catholic weddings. This was a Pakistani wedding. My buddy from college is from Pakistan. His whole family, Pakistan. So that's why it was like a 4-day event. Excuse me. 2 days in Chicago, 2 days in, well, I think it was like 3.
You actually changed cities?
Yeah, man. I was in Chicago for 2 days, like Thursday and Friday. And actually, I stayed in Chicago on Saturday. There was no official event on Saturday, which was in Ann Arbor. It was like a travel day for people.
Jeez.
Her family's from Chicago. His is from Detroit, Ann Arbor area.
Yeah, I had a feeling when you said that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's big family events. I mean,
wow.
So that's why they kind of travel between two.
It sounds pretty cool.
It was interesting. A lot of it seemed, if you want to equate it to our weddings, the events that I saw were just basically like receptions. People get together, have dinner. There's a lot of mingling, talking, a ton of photos. It was a good time. However, I feel like somewhere along the lines between Chicago and Detroit, I've picked up a cold, which is why I'm now giving myself an oral enema of orange juice, and I've got some vitamin water next to me.
That's not how that works.
I said oral enema, not anal
That's
enema.
not...
I just like the word enema, like I'm like forcing something inside me.
Yeah, I like how you're bitching about a cold and I live in fucking pain every day. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start looking at... Oh, yeah, so we started on this, and I do actually want to talk about this real quick. Ramble Entertainment. We're going to fucking ramble. Yeah, so Donald Trump was tweeting about SNL again. And... News.groupspeak, I'm guessing it's a Facebook-owned source media group, posted about how this woman fucking went off on him, and it just keeps going and going, and there are
some steam on it too. Like there are hundreds of retweets in some of those things, and thousands of likes. I mean, like I didn't like check out her.
I'm gonna read all of it, but honestly, just in the first 5, like
that pretty much nails it.
She's pointing out a very specific problem. Like, he needs to be more mature. He needs to be more fucking mature.
He needs to be a president.
we talked about this, and so this is kind of going to be another one of those moments where I want to be pretty conclusive in what we want to say about this. Yeah, he needs to be a president. There was this kind of hope I think we both had where it was just like, we need to be hopeful for him. We need to hope he's going to be the best goddamn president possible. And he just seems to be doing the same fucking thing that he was doing on the campaign trail. And that can win you votes, but that's not going to win you politics. No. So, all right, then let's... again, not trying to be too political here, but what we want to talk about is Vladimir Putin. And I brought this up because I've kind of skirted around this for a while, wanting to talk about him.
Center here. Hold on.
Yeah. I can adjust you here.
I just moved my camera over. It's fine. There we go.
Okay.
Much better.
Neat. I can so like you can talk about politics with Vladimir Putin, but no matter what, he is a personality that is kind of on the world stage right now. He's a man who has allowed or requested the showing off of nuclear devices in a park in one of Russia's major cities, if not the Kremlin, and now he wants to have warmer relations with America. And it's just, Oh no, I'm like
kind of bewildered by his
I'm
personality.
bewildered. I'm bewildered by everything that revolves around Russia and this man currently. I think there are a lot of people like me who feel very similarly, and I feel like, and of course, the internet really perpetuates some evocative imagery of the man, and I feel like so what I'm looking for here is basically like, one second it sounds like we're on the cusp of war with Russia, and now that Trump is in office, and this is one of the very few things coming out of positivity with Trump. Although I will argue that so like I'm not too deep into politics, and I know there are cultural norms that you want to try to kind of abide with, but Taiwan is fucking Taiwan, if we're being honest with ourselves. And like, if Trump wants to finally just be like, look, they are real. Like, this is a real fucking thing. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to use words with them. And I like, it's weird because he is so fucking offended by so many things. But kind of what he's saying here is, stop being offended by such a simple gesture. Like,
wait, Putin was offended that Trump?
No, Trump. All right, so if you don't know, Trump had a call with Taiwan's
I knew that.
president, and this offends China because ever since the 70s we do not recognize Taiwan as a nation because China does not want anyone to recognize Taiwan as its own nation. And you can see how it's just like, well, that's kind of fucking dumb. And so, like, obviously there is a lot more to it than just that simple explanation.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's like, still, I think there's something good there when it's just like, these are people who want to govern themselves, and we have to at the very least recognize their wants and needs and potential abuses that might be going on within their own state or from China to Taiwan. I'm not saying that's actually what happens, but we should probably be more knowledgeable about that as what has happened with Trump and China and Taiwan. We should read more about it. We should be informed and knowledgeable people. And I think the same applies to Putin. We should be knowledgeable, informed, and have critical, thoughtful opinions about Putin, because we stand to avert what could have been crisis with Russia. Tension has really, really, really been building. They annexed Crimea, which, according to international law, is wrong, and then we were kind of starting to lean towards a proxy war in Syria. And this is obviously a lot of stuff on the political stage, but a lot of it really comes down to this man. It really wouldn't have come down to Obama, Clinton, or Trump. It was a mixture of all three, and now we have Trump. And we, again, have to kind of hope for this best case scenario. And I'm curious about your thoughts, knowledges, and feelings on the man and the situation with Russia.
Well, be prepared to be disappointed.
I read a lot.
Yeah, a lot of my political readings is often domestic. I don't really, I don't know. I've never really been into world politics. I wonder if it's perhaps because there's so much bad shit going on in the world, where I actually just tend to stay away from it. When you hear about like what goes on in the Middle East and Syria and like all these countries that are in constant turmoil, it's almost like it washes over me, where it's just like, oh,
yeah,
so and so is happening, and I'm like, again, it's kind of like this whole Russian thing. I mean, we've known Russia to be a dictatorship, even they call it a democracy, or Putin calls it democracy.
I mean, like, not to get too technical on that stuff, but like, a lot of countries say they have a presidency,
right? Yeah,
but the reason that they can say that, sure, there are probably plenty of definitions to what a presidency is. in the current state of our world. But really, a lot of what it boils down to is, do you have a democracy or not? And the reason that that is important, I think, in the current state of the world is because democracy, it doesn't have to be a reflection of America or what's important in America or what's important in other nations. What's important is the balance, that no one person or group holds too much power. Because in history, we have seen so many reflections of, granted, there are good times sometimes when, there's a great leader who holds power or a great group who holds power, but of course there are all the bad times where there are horrible kings or dictators, etc., military leadership that... military should always be really separated from civilian and government on a lot of things, but when it comes to Putin's presidency, you kind of from our media we get a sense of rigged elections from accounts of people from Russia, and just things that go on in Russia.
Bag just fell from my closet.
Tell that ghost to fuck off. We're recording right now. And yeah, I just, for me, the past 4 years, absorbing a lot of information as I had a lot of time to pass. Still have a good amount of time to pass here and there, even though I work a part-time job now. Yay! I just feel like, this man has been in power for too long. He's kind of... I read a lot about how he wants to kind of reassemble or return to these like glory days of Russia before the Soviet Union collapsed, and there's a lot to be concerned about. And having a girlfriend who even lives just on the edge of Russia, she often mentions to me about how there's like all kinds of Russian propaganda that is pretty blatant propaganda.
Really?
Where, and apparently it even started happening in Estonia, another nation over there, after all the events kind of started to wind down in Crimea and the Ukraine. And there was concern that Estonia, might be on Russia's radar next. And then the whole thing with Syria started, and now we're there was real concern when it came to Clinton. If she got elected, we would truly enter into a proxy war, because her intent was to set up a no-fly zone over Syria, or at least that's a lot of what the rhetoric was around those things. Obviously, with the political season ending, I think maybe there is news that is a lot more trustworthy now, but I don't think that was untrustworthy as information really goes. Clinton has always had bad relations with this man. He always seems so serious and stern when I've seen him in video. But
here he is riding a Ritz cracker.
I mean, that's due to the internet. That's obviously not due to... That's not his own doing, and if it was, so I'd write my name on that if I were him. And now, suddenly, there seems like this opportunity again for this complete reversal, where... for one of the first times in decades, or even longer, we're going to be allies with Russia, potentially. What that means for Syria, what that means for ISIS, what that means for global relations, don't know. But any de-escalation of potential proxy warring tensions, or even potentially warring tensions between two of the world powers, I think is... always a good thing.
Yeah.
And I say that tepidly because we can't say until we find out.
Yeah.
And that's been the first ramble for great Scott Marcus here on Ramble Entertainment. I mean, I get it if you don't have anything really to add to it.
No.
Sometimes, you talk about music a lot more than I do. Sometimes I talk about something like this. And
I'm just one of those ill-informed about the world politics, but I mean,
I do want to ask, like, as far as all of that information goes in one ear and out the other, what is your kind of general reaction to all of this?
I mean, obviously it would be good, if we can become allies with Russia in the sense that we don't lose our sense of democracy. It's kind of iffy to say right now with President-elect Trump. So I mean, obviously, I feel like nothing bad can come out of it if you're saying, okay, let's de-escalate any kind of issues that we have between us and this other, and they are now kind of a world power.
And China too, and to be very, very, very clear about all of this, the balance of the world power will not easily shift.
No.
So I have kept track of this for a long time, ever since I really started learning about politics and the state of the world. We are hands down, and I'm not saying this to be full of America. I'm not saying this to, I don't know, to really broadcast some kind of political rhetoric. The U.S. military is the largest, strongest military in the world by hundreds and possibly even thousands of leaps and bounds. The reason for this is because we have the potential to carry our military everywhere with us. Russia has one carrier. So to put this in perspective, one fucking battle carrier, the one that carries the planes, that makes fucking war. China has two. Guess how many the United States has?
Dozens?
13.
Dozen plus one. Baker's dozen.
And then, of course, within these carrier groups, you have all kinds of different battleships.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, when it comes to nuclear powers, that, of course, changes the scope of things. However, it doesn't... You can't completely change the scope of the size just instantly. You can't change the scope of reactionary measures. I was talking to a pilot the one time on Skype playing StarCraft, and he said, yeah, pilots have to learn to navigate without their instruments or without GPS. Because if there was a nuclear launch, one of the U.S.'s protocols is to set every GPS in the world into the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, the center of the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean.
Really?
To try to mess with the tracking. And if that's something that all pilots know, what the fuck don't we know? Here's another one that is readily available. The United States is one of the only countries in the world with a full retaliatory measure written into how we do things when it comes to nuclear arms. If we or one of our allies, I think, it might not include our allies, but if the United States is struck first, that's
Goodbye,
it.
Whoever did that.
Yeah, literally, like China doesn't even do that. They won't retaliate immediately. They might use nukes as EMPs, like they'll detonate them in the sky, which also causes fallout, which is awful. But still, they won't retaliate, at least as far as information you can gather on the internet goes, with a direct strike, or at least not with up-to-date information. And it's crazy. And additionally, we send military personnel up into space all the time. What are they doing? So yeah, just things to think about. It is hard to upset the balance of world power. It is incredibly difficult to upset the balance of political power within the U.S., whether you're an outside source or an internal source. So while things are going to look very interesting over the next several years, and I didn't want to get too political, it happened. This is kind of a moment to be reassured that this is good. Trump had a lot of rhetoric that they're building nukes. So what? We have some of the most powerful in the world, and so nuclear war has never happened, and the issue with nuclear war ever happening is mutually assured destruction. And I didn't really want this to be about nuclear war because I don't think Putin wants that. I don't think the U.S. or China want that. No one in the world really wants that because we want to fucking live. We want to fucking continue to live. And so, yeah, that's really a lot of what that boils down to in my mind. So we should finally move on.
Yep.